Alright, in this lecture, I'm going to be teaching you how you can splice up a completely already designed character that's on one flat layer. Because a lot of the times, people will like to create their characters on one layer, paint it all on one layer, and sometimes you're working on a project and you have another artist that sends you a character and it's all on one layer, and it's just hand painted, and there's actually no layers split up for the arms, the elbows, the shin, whatever. So sometimes you'll have to actually go in there and slice it up yourself and repaint in some areas. So in this lecture, I'm going to show you how to do that. So right now I have a robot character, and as you can see, it's all on one layer. Now sometimes it may be even more complicated than this, because you might have another leg over here. You might have all types of stuff. But this will just be a very simplified version of this. So first what we need to do is we need to start cutting pieces apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the bottom, and then I'll work my way up to the top. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my lasso tool, and you want to make sure you're on your polygonal lasso tool, that way you have lots of control. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select my foot shape. So I can select all the way out here since the background is transparent. If your background isn't transparent, you're actually going to have to go ahead and select right along the edge of your foot. But since our background is transparent, we can just go ahead and select all the way out there. But then once we get into the inside of the foot, we need to make sure we follow the shape of this. So we just want to select right around the edge of that top part of the shin, and then we'll reconnect like so. Now that we have that foot selected, we're going to go ahead and hit Control X or Command X if you're on a Mac. And what that's going to do is it's going to cut that out of our document, but it's copied to our clipboard. Then we can go ahead and hit Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac, and that will paste our foot back in there, just like so. And now we can go ahead and drag that back into its position. If you can't get it exactly back into the position, you can go ahead and use the arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge that up and over until you get it back into its spot. Next, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and drag this layer underneath our other layer, because this foot is going to be below this layer right here, which is the shin. Next, we want to go ahead and just turn off this top layer that has the rest of our layers on it, and we want to go ahead and finish filling in the rest of this foot. So first off, we need to decide where that shape is going to be going. So I'm going to go ahead and select this dark gray right here, and using my brush tool at 100% opacity, I'm going to go ahead and paint a round edge just like so. Then I can go ahead and finish filling that all the way in, all the way to there. Alright, great. So now I have that all filled in. Next, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and start adding in some of the detail you see here. So starting with this red color, I'm going to go ahead and select that, and just painting at 100% opacity, I'm going to paint right across there, just like so. And then I can go ahead and use my eraser tool, and I'm just going to make sure I'm on a hard-edged brush, and I'm going to erase that shape back in there because we got off the edge of there. And then I'm going to go ahead and reselect this dark gray color, and I can reshape this right here by painting in right over that rounded edge. Then I'm going to go ahead and select this dark gray color, then using my brush tool and bringing the brush size down, I can go ahead and paint in that line back in there, just like so. So now, just from taking our flat image design and then cutting that out, I can go ahead and paint in there the rest of that to create an actual piece of my body that I can use to animate. Now let's go ahead and move on to another part. So let's say next off we want to do our shin, then our knee, and then our thigh. Well, the easiest way to do this will be to use our circular marquee tool first to select the shape. So I'll go ahead and click in the center like so, then hold down Alt and Option to get a perfect circle from that center, and just try to eyeball where the center is as best as possible. And then once you get this about the size of that kneecap, you can go ahead and hit Control X to cut that out. Make sure that you're on your layer that has the kneecap on it. Hit Control X, and then go ahead and hit Control V to copy that back in, and then put that back into place, like so. Use your arrow keys to nudge it back into place if you need to. Alright, great. So now our kneecap is just perfect the way it is on this layer. Next, we need to go ahead and cut out that shin. So let's go ahead and turn off our kneecap layer for now. Then using my eraser tool, and I want to come back down to this layer, I can go ahead and just erase away these areas that got left behind. Then using my lasso tool, I'm just going to select around my shin. Got a little bit close there, but that's alright as long as we don't cut it. Then we'll go ahead and cut this out, so hit Control X, and then hit Control V, and put that back into place. So it would go right about there. Alright, great. So now that shin is on its own layer, now let's go ahead and do the thigh. So the thigh is going to be a little bit trickier, but it'll be fine. So basically, we just want to cut it out just like we did with the foot. So we can start all the way out here because this is all transparent, but once we get up here into the body area, we need to be very careful with where we're selecting. So we need to select right along the edge of the thigh. Then we'll just go ahead and reconnect those. Then we want to make sure that we're down on our layer that has the thigh on it. Hit Control X, then Control V to copy and paste that back in. Then we'll go ahead and put that back into position. We can use the arrow keys on our keyboard to nudge that back into place, just like so. And now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and paint in the top and the bottom of our shin and our thigh. So I'm going to start with the shin. So I'm going to come up to my shin layer. Then I'm going to go ahead and select this darker gray right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint in my shape with that. So I'm going to bring my shape all the way up into here like so. Same with this side. Let's go ahead and round that out so it's nice and smooth. Then we can go ahead and fill that in with our gray. Then I'm going to go ahead and select this darker gray color. And I'm not really worried about this hard edge right here because this will all be covered by the kneecap, and as it's animating you won't really notice it that much. If you want to, you can go ahead and take a lot of time and really blend this in and make it look perfect. And depending on how realistic your art looks, I really recommend that you do take a lot of time when you're doing this. But for now we're just going to go ahead and paint that in like so. Great. Next, let's go ahead and do the thigh. So here's our thigh. We'll go ahead and select our darker pink color. Then I'm going to go ahead and paint in my shape. So I'm going to come all the way down like so, round that out, and in this case I'm actually going to select my lighter pink color and go ahead and blend that in a little bit. So I'm going to switch over to a soft edged brush, and then I'll go ahead and I want to paint at 20% opacity so I can layer that in slowly. And I just want to blend that into my other highlights. Then I'll go ahead and select this darker gray color, which is actually tinted a little red, so we need to make sure we select that one and not this one down here. Then we'll bring down our brush size, and I want to make sure I'm back on a hard edged brush at 100% opacity. And I'll go ahead and paint in around this edge like so. And then continue these lines all the way down to the bottom. Alright, great. Now we can go ahead and turn our kneecap back on. And lastly, I want to go ahead and show you how we can do this body down here, just to give you one more example. So let's go ahead and switch back down to our body layer. And then we want to go ahead and cut out this arm first off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut around it like so. We also want to cut the neck off. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here to the neck. Cut that off like so. Then we can go ahead and come all the way around here and reconnect it. And then rather than hitting Control X, because that's going to cut off my arm and I still need to use my arm, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control C to copy it and then Control V to paste that in. So now I can go ahead and position that back in the correct place, so just line it up with the original one. And then I'm just going to turn off this whole layer that has the rest of my body on it so I can only focus on this part of the body. And now what I want to do is turn off that thigh layer so I can see underneath here. And then I want to go ahead and zoom in there. And then selecting this darker gray color, I'm going to go ahead and paint in the bottom half of the shape of my body. So it's basically just going to round out like so. And then I can go ahead and fill the rest of that in. Alright, Great. Then I'm going to go ahead and select my highlight color. Then using my brush tool with a soft edge, I'm going to go ahead and start adding that highlight in there. So I'm going to bring my brush opacity back down to 20% and just slowly start painting in that highlight. Now you don't have to focus too much on the detail underneath here because for the most part it's all going to be covered, but right along these edges you're going to see a little bit of this detail as the leg moves around in the animation. So we want to make sure we really get these edges so they blend in quite nicely. Next, let's go ahead and select these dark gray colors up here. And using my brush tool and making sure I'm on a hard-edged brush and bringing the brush size down, I'm going to go ahead and continue these lines here, this detail, bringing my brush opacity back up to 100%. I'll just paint all the way around here like so. Same with over here, so we'll paint this down into there. And then we'll go ahead and continue the shape all the way around the bottom. Alright, great. Now let's go ahead and turn on our two other layers to see how that looks. Perfect. So I just wanted to demonstrate to you how you would cut out a character that's all on one flat layer, because there are probably going to be a lot of times where you might need to do this. That brings us to the end of this lecture. I really hope you enjoyed this lecture and you got some really good ideas of how you can start cutting up your characters for your spine animations. Thanks for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next one.